Minimum wage protesters are being harassed by police officers in Tennessee. This is a really wild story. So Karima Towns reports here. The Memphis Police Department repeatedly photographed, filmed, trailed, and intimidated Fight for 15 organizers, according to a federal lawsuit filed on Wednesday. The plaintiffs argue they were also smeared by government officials who added their names to a blacklist that was published by local news outlets. Members of the Mid-South Organizing Committee, which is involved in the Fight for 15 fair wage movement, claim that they have been victims of harassment and surveillance for many years. Police not only appear at lawful protests that involve fast food employees and home care workers, they say, but also bully them by taking pictures and videos of their activities, threatening to arrest them, stalking them around the city in police vehicles, and following them to their homes. You know, they don't have anything else more important to be doing. Like, you know, maybe chasing down murderers and rapists and criminals. You know, I would say going after drug crimes, but keep it real. People shouldn't be getting arrested for, you know, having a little bit of drugs on them. But that's what the police department's apparently involved in. Shaking down people that have a little bit of drugs on them and stalking and intimidating and going after and cracking down on people who are fighting for a living wage. That is the most American thing you could do. These people are just using their First Amendment rights, guaranteed to them in the Constitution of the United States of America. They're being heard in what's supposed to be a democracy. They're fighting to improve the quality of life of everybody around them. And to the police department, that's a crime. Which leads to the inevitable conclusion. Who are the cops working for? I mean, the whole idea is, hey, we pay taxes, so the cops are supposed to serve and protect us, the people, the citizens. Well, those people who are, you know, protesting for a $15 minimum wage, they're tax-paying citizens. They're technically the cops' boss. So if they're the cops' boss, then why are the cops stalking their bosses when they've done nothing wrong? So maybe the reality is the police department isn't really representing the people. They're not really protecting and serving the taxpayers. I mean, the logical conclusion here is that they're protecting the corporations, and namely the CEOs, the owners, the management class at the corporations. Again, that's not, you know, it's not me saying it. If they're cracking down on protesters who are looking for a living wage, well, I mean, the only people they're fighting for then are the corporations and the owner class, the elites. Because when you look at polling data, the overwhelming majority of the American people, it's 80% of the American people that want to raise the minimum wage. I mean, we're talking about a majority of Democrats, a majority of independents, even a majority of Republicans say, yeah, raise the minimum wage. But the cops are cracking down on people who aren't breaking the law, who are just fighting to make the minimum wage a living wage. So they're doing the bidding of the corporations. You do know that one of the definitions of fascism, and this is according to Mussolini, the godfather of fascism, he said it's when corporations and the state merge. So they're one. I mean, this is exactly that. This is where you have corporations and the state, the cops, merging, and now the cops are doing the bidding of the corporations, the owner class of the corporations. Man, this is some scary stuff. By the way, the media loves to muck up fake scandals. Yet again, here's a real scandal. This is a real scandal, and I only saw one site cover it and one journalist cover it. So credit to Karima Towns here, but this is what CNN should be talking about. This is what MSNBC should be talking about. This is what Fox News should be talking about. But no, they're not going to discuss this. The nightly news aren't going to discuss it. Because again, they're part of the same system. They're elite. They're part of the establishment. Those people get a lot of money to just read the prompter. It's like Burgundy. Put anything in the prompter, he'll read it. That's what these guys do. That's what Wolf Blitzer does. That's what Don Lemon does. That's what all the different nightly news hosts do on CBS and ABC and NBC. So they're not going to portray a picture of the world that is against their donors and the class that they're a member of. So they're going to give you sensationalism stories, stories that do the bidding of the establishment, both the Republicans and the Democrats. Meanwhile, there are people out there who are really fighting for a better future, to improve the quality of life, for economic justice, and this is how they get treated. They get harassed by officers, and, you know, very few people are discussing it when this is a real scandal. They want to have a permanent underclass, and they're using the cops to enforce that, to have people work at a wage that's not a living wage. That's wage slavery. We want you to work full-time and not make enough money to survive, and we're going to have the cops enforce that. What a sick, broken, disgusting system. And all the propaganda arguments against a living wage. That's exactly what they are, propaganda. I mean, I think the minimum wage in Australia is about $18 an hour. How are they doing? Did their system collapse yet? How are they? You know, apparently in Denmark and some Scandinavian places, they don't even have a minimum wage because everybody's unionized, and as a result of the unionization, they collectively bargain for wages that are much higher than a minimum wage would be anyway. Here in the U.S., we have people working for $7.25 an hour, can't pay the fucking bills, and then when people try to protest to make it better, the cops, this power of the state, is used to crack down on people who are just fighting for basic human rights. It's so sick. And of course we stand with the protesters here and against the Memphis Police Department. And this is a disgusting joke.